This one here will just make you cuss. It'll make you slap your grandma if she's still alive, or if she's not. God rest her soul. Is this still the best mid-size naked sports bike on the market? Today we're going to answer that question. Hey guys, I'm Alan. You're watching the Fireman Rides. So I have this beautiful Yamaha blue MT-07, and this bike is courtesy of the guys over at Team Charlotte Motorsports. They gave me the keys, said, Alan, take the bike for a week, go commute on it, take it to the mountains, do everything with it. Take your dog to the vet if you need to on it. So I got to thank those guys for giving me the keys and trusting me with their inventory. And if you're in the market for a motorcycle, please, like I said, the website's down below. It's going to be across the screen here. Go see those guys. If you're at Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Polaris, Aprilia, Moto Guzzi, Vespa, Piaggio, any of those brands, they carry them new, and anything used you'll find it there on Freedom Drive in Charlotte, North Carolina. And if you're not in the Charlotte market, call them up, go to their website. Like I said, all the information will be down below here. They do flying rides. How cool is that? Go buy your brand new MT-07, fly into Charlotte, ship your gear to the store, they'll pick you up from the airport, and you'll fly your bike and ride your bike home, or you fly it home if you go fast enough on it. And again, like I said, those guys are absolutely awesome. I love working with those guys. They don't pay me a dime. They just give me access to their inventory, and that is it. So again, Team Charlotte Motorsports, I got to thank those guys here. So what we have here, again, like I said, the question I asked at the beginning, is this still the best mid-size naked sports bike? We're going through the sports bikes now, and we've already been through quite a few of them. And this one here, this is kind of like one of the original kind of OGs of the modern mid-size naked sports bike. And when it came out a couple years ago, hell, more than a couple of years ago now, it came out as the FZ07 over a decade ago. This was kind of a hooligan motorcycle, but it had a great motor, but it wasn't a very refined motorcycle, if that makes any sense. So now the category has really stepped up. You got bikes like the Aprilia, the Tuono 660. You got bikes like the CB750R. You've got the Hornet 750. Bikes that are really they're performance bikes, but they're also really refined bikes. And Yamaha couldn't keep making the same old crap and expecting buyers to buy it. So my question is now this bike has been out for some years, is this still the best mid-size naked sports bike? So before we get started, if you see anything that you like, comment, subscribe. Let's go. All right, so we are now on a not nearly as famous of a road as what, like, say, the Tail of the Dragon or Charahola Skyway, or even the road that we're going to end up on, the Rattlesnake, Diamondback, whatever you want to call it, the 121A. This is Highway 80, guys. This is Highway 80 coming out of the town or the city of Marion. And it is one of the absolute best roads that you're ever going to see. And the cool thing is that this road has been closed ever since Hurricane Helene came through. Look at this water, this dam right here. Check this out. Look at that right there. How freaking cool is that? So this road was closed after Hurricane Helene, and the road has been closed ever since. Turn that camera on right there. I'll turn it on up here. So the road has been closed ever since. And this is May of 2026. And that was in, October of, what was that? October of 24. So this road's been closed for a year and a half, and I think it literally just opened. So this is kind of a treat that we get to take this bike, arguably the best mid-size naked sports bike, on one of the absolute best roads. Hopefully it's still a good road. I don't know. Like I said, it was in pretty bad shape. It really was. It was in very bad shape, and let's hope it's still in really good shape. But take this, this sports bike, this naked sports bike, the MT-07, the hooligan of the category, and take it on this road, and let's see how it does. Man, I miss this road right here. This is one of my all-time favorite roads right here. And again, nobody knows about it. And it's one of those where if you see another car the entire way up, that's a busy day. And what's cool about it, now, I was looking at the map, and we'll verify it once we get up to the top here. This road will take you a good ways up, but it intersects with the Blue Ridge Parkway, and that's typically where we hop off, is at the Blue Ridge Parkway. and we take it northeast. I'm not sure exactly what the direction they want to call it is, and take it over to Little Switzerland, and then we take 121 from there. Oh, wow. So I'm going to say here's where it's washed out. This whole area, again, Hurricane Helene was absolutely devastating to this area. And I'm going to say this whole area right here washed out. Let's get on here. And you can really, and we'll look at it, and this is all freshly paved here. So obviously this has been, and you can see how scarred the, this riverbank is. And again, like I said, it was historic. I mean, literally like 1,000-year type storm that came through and wiped out this whole area right here. And there was a lot of people that live in these communities up here that were isolated. They were stuck. I mean, there was literally, they could not go anywhere. They were stuck in their homes, and they had, actually up in this area, there was a guy who came through. He's got mules, and he was actually, he turned his mules into pack mules and was bringing supplies and this, you see this, all this is brand new. This whole section was washed out right here. Wow, look at the scarring of that. Man, look at that. But he was bringing pack mules and actually bringing supplies to people because there was literally no other way. I mean, there was no road, there was nothing. And it literally, when we went back, 150 years, oh man, I love this road. And that's the only way people survived, was this guy coming in with his pack mules, and he was bringing supplies, he was bringing mail, he was bringing all this stuff. These people who live out in these neighborhoods here, or not neighborhoods, but out in these areas right here. I wonder how the church fared up here. There's this beautiful little church that actually I used to, and all this is new too. Look at this, all this was washed away. But I used to come up here. Look how scarred that is, my gosh. And you still see a lot of trees and everything down. And again, that's a year and a half ago. Anywhere you see new asphalt, the road washed away. Man. So let's talk about this motorcycle while we're, going down memory lane here and literally going down Highway 80. This right here, this is exactly what this bike is made for right here. These twisty roads. Can you do higher speeds? Yeah, sure. Does it want to do, triple digits? Not really, because like I said, being a naked bike, it kind of, oh, that's a big old hole right there. It kind of sucks. All this is new as well. Stay on your side, bud. All this is new. But twisty roads like this, like these low speed, 35 mile an hour roads, like digging out of a turn, hard on the brakes, digging out of a turn, coming into the next one right there. That's what this bike is made for right here. Again, like I said, yeah, being a naked bike, and this is not just a naked bike, it's a very naked bike, because I mean, it literally looks like you fall off the front end. It's not one that, triple digits is very fun on a bike like this, but this right here, man, I tell you what, man, this is a freaking hoot on this bike. The bike just feels lightweight. It just feels, it's funny is that this bike shares the same engine with the Tenere, and the Tenere, it's 450 pounds, somewhere in that ballpark, 460, I don't know, I'll put the weight up on the screen. Look at this right here. Oh my gosh. Look at that scarring right there. But the Tenere just feels heavy. It feels like it weighs 50 pounds more than it actually does. This bike feels the exact opposite. This feels like it weighs, 20 to 30 pounds less than what it actually does, which is an absolute accomplishment with the exact same engine. That's the thing; it's got the exact same engine as the Tenere. And this bike is just, it's lightweight, it's flickable. The power is just, it's very manageable. Again, we're in mode 1 or whatever you want to call it. And the power is just it's tractable. This 270-degree crank is just, it's confidence inspiring. And like I said, you can just rip this thing. Now, I wouldn't go second gear and just gas it like that, because this thing will loop itself. This is a very powerful motor. There's still a bunch of damage right there from the, again, the creek runs right there, the river runs right there. 1-lane road ahead. Okay, so this kind of makes sense that it's open, but it's not very open. So as you can see, like I said, this stopping point here, this road, I mean, this road completely washed out right there. So it's still, I mean, they're still you know, fighting this right here. Again, a year and a half later, to tell you how bad the damage was up in western North Carolina. You know, you wouldn't think of a damn hurricane affecting western North Carolina in the mountains, but this one certainly did. The path that Helene took was something else. So this is where my church was at, and my church is not there anymore. Is that, yeah, that's where the church was at, wasn't it? The church is gone. There was a church that sat right there, and it's gone. That's incredible. The most beautiful little picturesque church that sat right there. Incredible. Wow. All right, so let's get back to the bike. But the power that this thing is putting down, I mean, again, it's put down, you know, 80s, you know, low 80s horsepower, but the torque from this 270-degree crank motor is it just feeds, baby, feed it. Yes, sir. This thing just takes it. And the brakes, while, you know, we got a lot of gravel on the road there. The brakes are not Brembos or anything else, but they're damn good brakes. They're, you know, so they're kind of like the Yamaha, you know, the in-house brand of brakes, but they're, you know, radially mounted. You know, we got 2 calipers. We got, you know, 4 pistons on 2 discs. I mean, we got good brakes. We got really, really good brakes, and they're very confidence inspiring. They didn't give it a radial master cylinder, which is fine. I mean, it's just fine. I mean, this little axial, it does just fine. It's got plenty of power. It's got plenty of bite to it. The initial grab point on the brakes is actually pretty good with these stock pads. You know, would I take this into a track day with this bike? You damn right I would. And it pours on the power just so effortlessly, and it just feels so lightweight. Again, it's not a featherweight by any means. It's a pretty hefty bike, but it carries this weight so effortlessly. Now this part here gets up, you know, outside of the creek bed, and actually gets up into the kind of the mountain area, and the temperature will drop right up here, and gets to some switchbacks and everything. So let's see how this bike handles some of these switchbacks. There's one right here, as a matter of fact. 3rd gear. Drop it down to 2nd gear. Take this curve here. Wow, you can see what washed out right there too. Look at that big old washout. Again, we don't have the quick shifter on the bike, but it's a nice, easy, you know, transmission, and you can quick shift it yourself just with, you know, blipping the clutch or blipping the throttle up and down. You know, it's not a big deal. All this washed out. Look at that. All of this washed out. Damn. 3rd gear. 3,000 RPM. Dig it out. Dig it out. Yes, sir. It digs out just fine. Wow, look at that washout right there. My gosh. And again, you could do that. I mean, could I do 2nd gear in this? Yeah. 3rd gear is doing it just fine. Now, there's always gravel on this road, because it's a road that farmers use, and they just kind of tend to cut the corners. But man, yeah, 3rd gear, it just digs right out 3rd gear. No problem at all. Man, I'm so happy to see this road open. I'm so happy to see this road open. Cool old custom truck. And this engine's just so smooth. Now, in stock configuration, it's awfully quiet. But I mean, there's, you know, tons of actually aftermarket support for this thing that really could make this thing just sound nasty. It really can. The suspension's probably the biggest letdown to this bike, if I can put it like that. Let's pull over here for a second. Look at this area. Oh wow, look at this. This is gorgeous right here. Look at that. All right, so let's take a look at this bike here while we're stopped. Again, there's our brakes. Like I said, it's the Yamaha branded. You know, they're 4-piston calipers. There's nothing crazy about them. They are radially mounted, which is nice and gives you that nice feel. There's our upside down suspension. Again, it's not adjustable at all, but honestly, it feels fine. It feels perfectly fine. Like I said, there's our rear tire there. We're getting over. Oh yeah, yes, we're getting over a little bit. Actually getting a little bit of heat in that tire too. And there's our CP2 engine. There's that was a 689cc parallel twin, that CP2, that cross plane 270-degree crank motor. That's a hell of a motor, and it's really good in the Tenere. But man, I'm telling you, this is what it was made for right here. They made this motor to put in this, and they're like, you know what? Let's make a Tenere out of it. Let's make an ADV bike out of it as well. And they even made a tracer version too, like a touring bike, which I don't think we get that here. But this engine right here, this is a hell of a motor, and it does fantastic. No sir, I'm good. I'm just looking at everything. I appreciate it. See you guys. Thanks for stopping. That's some good gentlemen there. But see, that's what you do. That's what you do right here, is you take care of each other. You see somebody, you stop and see if they need help. Those are probably motorcyclists too, or just good guys to stop and say, hey, do you need any help? So that's pretty awesome right there. So the motorcycle. So again, this is Yamaha's beautiful blue color that they've been doing for years. The biggest single difference I see on this bike here is right here, is the TFT screen that Yamaha, it's now kind of their corporate screen. It's a real big display. I mean, you look at the size of it, it's about the size of my hand, but the screen itself is real small. I mean, smaller inside there. It's a really customizable screen. Again, you see you got all your idiot lights down the side right here. It is adjustable. You can go in, there's if you look at our switch gear, I'm really impressed with the switch gear. They've really done it where if you're wearing gloves, you can access all this big, chunky buttons here. Their new kind of style with their turn signal. Big old buttons all over the place, and I really, really like that. So their home button right here, let's press that. That'll go in. That'll bring us into our settings. Like so, we can change the display. We can do all those different things. They do have the Bluetooth connectivity in there, which I mean, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of that. I just don't really care to have my bike kind of synced up. And all the apps, none of that. I don't really like any of the apps that show you, oh, look where you rode today. I know I rode today because I was on the motorcycle. So I'm not really crazy about any of that stuff. But as far as the looks of the bike, again, it's still a very, very minimalistic looking motorcycle. There's not a lot of, there's barely any plastics to it. It's just a basic looking motorcycle. But the simplicity is where the art is. They really. The mechanics of this motorcycle really are what speak to what make this such an incredible motorcycle. And it starts all right here. It starts with this powertrain right here. This is their CP2 parallel twin, 270-degree crank parallel twin, and this is a hell of a motor. This motor puts out mid-80s horsepower. It puts out tons of torque. The torque curve is just as flat as it can be. Yes, sir. I'm just doing some filming. I appreciate it. Thank you. Is that somebody else stopping on the side of the road? Just, oh shit, that same guy. This guy's been ripping up and down that road all day long. So again, our CP2 engine, it even says it right here, CP2 engine right there. That's a cross plane 2. Basically, it's a 270-degree crank parallel twin, and it is a great motor. Yamaha was really one of the first ones to come out with that 270-degree crank motor, and they made an absolute peach of motor. It makes great power. The torque curve is about as flat as something that's very flat. And like I said, it's just a great motor. Our brakes, again, we've been working the hell out of our brakes here today. And it's got really good brakes. I mean, they're not Brembos or anything else, but they're just good quality brakes. I mean, you see the radially mounted master cylinder, or radially mounted calipers, twin disc in the front. One thing, if I'm gonna knock it, is these flimsy little, those little turn signals right there. But of course, if you drop the bike, they'll pop out of their little grommet right there, and you're not breaking your turn signals. You just pop them back in, and you keep on riding. A couple years ago, they changed the headlight. They went to this kind of whatever you want to call that, HAL 5000 design look to it. And it's one of those where it's again, that's about one of the few kind of stylistic parts of this motorcycle. The motorcycle is it is what it is, and like I said, they really put the mechanicals on display with this motorcycle. And then, like I said, this is the heart of it. This is the show right here. So why not make that the front and center piece? Don't hide that behind some stuff. Put that thing out front and let everybody see that beautiful, beautiful CP2 motor. They give us some nice Dunlop Sport Max tires. Again, not the greatest tire in the world, but not bad at all. If you're going to do a lot of serious kind of roads, like these roads right here, I would definitely say maybe put your set of Q4s, something like that on there. But the stock tires for for commuting or for just kind of general use, they're not bad at all. And you see, we've been getting over a little bit on them tires there. As far as our ergonomics go, this bike has great ergonomics. You sit nice and upright. The seat is nice and wide. Doesn't have a ton of padding to it, but it is nice and wide and kind of supports you. Your bars have a nice sweep back to them, and just the sitting position. Again, you're not perfectly upright. You're just a couple degrees lean forward, and I think that's perfectly fine. Something like the GSX-8 TT, that you definitely got a lot more lean forward. Same thing with the CB650R. This here, you're almost perfectly upright. And again, with how the headlight is kind of sunk down in the front there, it almost feels like you're sitting on the front of the motorcycle. It almost kind of drops off in the front. So it's almost like riding if you ever ridden in a cab over truck, that's kind of what it feels like. It feels like you're kind of sitting on top of it in the front versus kind of sitting back and having all this stuff in front of you. Which I think is perfectly fine. I'm not saying it as a negative. I just think it's kind of interesting how they did that. You see the hip and knee position right here. It's sporty, but it's not committed sporty. It's all day comfortable if you want to ride it like that. Again, your feet are kind of tucked up. They're not kind of behind you. They're kind of right in line with you here. Again, it's almost like just like a kind of a naked standard motorcycle ergonomics, and they feel perfectly comfortable. All right, so let's get on the road here. And let's go ride. So, some reviews I like just, sitting still and talking about the bikes. I don't know. Other ones, like this bike here. This bike just seems like it easily wants to be ridden, especially on a damn road like this. Man. Oh, gosh almighty. This thing is a blast. So again, let's talk about the powertrain. As we're flexing this powertrain. So this is the 689cc CP2 parallel twin 270-degree crank motor that Yamaha came out with, I don't know, a handful of years ago. I'm not a historian, not a statistician. I'm a motorcyclist. And they were really, this was kind of like the first modern, how about that, modern CP2 motor. And they really they took the world by storm with this powertrain. Before that, it was, 180-degree crank parallel twins. It was like the Z650. It was, old-fashioned, V-twins. Look at this section right here, wow. Like the, wow, that whole damn thing, gosh almighty, washed away. Like the old SV650. Those were the motors of this category. And when Yamaha came out with this 270-degree crank and put it in the FZ07, which is now the MT-07, let's get on here. Holy snot! Good Lord, look at this. Wow, that whole section washed out. My gosh, that goes all the way up the mountain right there. Holy snot. That's impressive, guys, what they've done to open this road back up. So like I said, they came out with this CP2, what they call CP2 engine, the Crossplane 2, and man, it is a hell of a motor. It doesn't make the most power in the category. I mean, you look at something like the CB650R, it's putting out probably a good 20 more horsepower than what this bike is here. But you know what this bike has that doesn't have? It's got torques. It's got download torques. And listen to this. Oh my God, you can just, this thing just pulls like a damn freight train, even from down low. Look at that. It pulls. Now, I'm not going to do any wheelies or anything because this ain't my motorcycle. But my gosh, look at this thing. Look at this thing go. So immediately when this bike came out, like we talked about in the intro, is that when this bike came out, this was the hooligan. This was the hooligan of the category. It's like, you know what? You're not getting refinement with this, but what you're going to get is an absolute good time. And this bike is. It is a absolute blast. But like I said, it was just one of those where it just, the suspension was ABS kicked in there. The suspension was absolute garbage. It was twitchy. It was not a refined motorcycle. I mean, it was like a half-baked. It was an engine. It was like the A10 Warthog of motorcycles. It was an engine built around with a motorcycle just attached to it. If that makes any sense. It doesn't really make any sense to me. It wasn't finished. How about that? It was definitely not a finished product. It was just kind of a half-baked product. But now now that what they've done is they have really taken this platform and refined it over the years, but it hasn't lost that. It hasn't lost that hooliganism that this thing was absolutely known for. All right, let's go back down the mountain. Let's see how she does going down the mountain. She goes up, but can she go down? Hey yo! Now, one thing I noticed coming up, and I'll probably notice this going down too, is that the rear brake kept kind of not locking up, but the ABS on the rear is really sensitive to lock up. And let's see if that's the case as we go down the mountain. So like I said, the engine really is kind of the star of the show with this bike here. And they really, I mean, like I said, there's no body work on it or anything else. So, I mean, the engine really just kind of stands out because it is, like I said, it's the star of the show. It's the headliner here. This is the reason that you're buying this motorcycle. Let's get on it. That's the reason you're buying this motorcycle is because of this damn engine, not because of any other reason. It's not the pretty bike, I can tell you that. But this engine, this CP2 engine is just a blast. All right, let's talk about the brakes. As we're going down the mountain, we're going to be using them quite a bit. So again, these are Yamaha branded brakes, 298 millimeter diameter of the rotors, which is not, it's not huge. A lot of bikes are doing 300s or even 310s or 320s. I even saw a 330 on a RSV4, which is freaking massive. But they're 298 millimeters. Like I said, they are radially mounted calipers, and they work okay. The rear is this little single caliper in the rear, and again, like I said, I've noticed more. Again, this is pretty spirited riding that we're doing. Oh, good Lord, gravel on the road there. I have noticed that this rear end, the ABS wants to engage rather quickly on the rear end of this motorcycle. So that's just, it's just the safety nannies trying to keep you in line. And I didn't think I was in any pushing it really hard, but it was definitely trying to lock up on me. Good Lord, this thing is a blast. What a blast. All right, let's talk about the suspension. And this is honestly, this is probably still, when this motorcycle came out, the suspension was like, meh, okay. It was okay, but it wasn't great. And honestly, I think that's still the case. So these are 41 millimeter KYB forks in the front. They are non-adjustable, and they're okay. They're just okay. I'm gonna say that. The suspension, I still think, is just the weak link of this motorcycle. And can you correct that in the aftermarket? Oh yes, there's tons of kits that you can. Let's get on it. That you can correct that with fully adjustable cartridges and everything else. So the suspension is definitely something that you can address pretty easily. But as far as the stock suspension, it's not great. And I'm not going to say it holds this bike back, because it really doesn't. I mean, you understand when you buy this bike, you understand that you're buying it for the motor. You're buying it for the motor, and the suspension's just one of those where to keep it at a budget, they really had to put kind of a budget suspension on there. I mean, they could make an SP version of the MT-07 and put Öhlins and all that stuff on there. But again, that takes away from what this bike is. It's a budget bike. And what it does really well is that it does the 3 Ps. It does the power, it does the performance, and it does the price very well. But if you started adding a bunch of stuff to this, it would kind of take it out of that category. And a lot of manufacturers do that. I mean, Yamaha is even bad about that. We talked about scope creep on the Tracer 9, where they took it from I bought that bike as a Tracer 900. I bought that bike at $9,000. Cruise control, triple, the CP3 motor, all that good stuff. And then they just kept adding stuff to it. And the next thing you know, it's a $20,000 motorcycle. I'm like, we're not selling these things, guys. Well, yes, because you doubled the damn price, but you kept adding stuff to it that people didn't really want. Yamaha's they've done the opposite with this one. They've kept this one. They've kept this one pure. They've not added all the stuff to it. And I really can appreciate that they haven't done that. Oh yeah. Now again, the suspension's not bad. I mean, it's really not. I mean, like I said, you see what we're doing on these roads here, and we're not riding very slow. I'm riding actually faster than I probably should on a motorcycle that does not belong to me. I should tell you that up front. This does not belong to me. This is Team Charlotte Motorsports, and if you want to buy this motorcycle, go see Team Charlotte Motorsports. Electronics. So we got two different rider modes. We've got ABS, obviously, because that rear end keeps locking up on me, or the rear ABS keeps engaging. Which, I mean, I guess you'd rather have it. You'd rather have it engage early than engage late, I guess. And that really kind of tells you, hey, you know, you need to slow down a little bit. You know, you're riding a little bit aggressive, which I tend to do, especially on motorcycles like this. Goodness gracious, you're so much fun. Yes, you are. This is like this bike's like like a pit bull, you know, not a big pit bull, like a small pit bull, like a pit bull that's got like a personality. It's got a complex about how big he is, and that's what this bike feels like here. Holy shit! What a lot of fun! What a lot of fun! Getting down the lower side of the mountain here. I think this whole review was going to be on this road right here. This is a freaking blast. So again, electronics wise, you have, you know, you got your 5-inch TFT, which again, it's a good TFT. It looks good. It looks good. Anything bigger would be too big. I mean, I saw some, you know, video on Instagram the other day. It was like modern motorcycles, and that guy had like a damn 40-inch flat screen TV sitting on the dash there, and it's kind of what it feels like. Is that all these, you know, manufacturers like BMW? They've got like a 9-inch TFT now, and they're putting it on even their small bikes, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? You know, this is crazy. It's still just the same information. I mean, you're not damn watching TV on your motorcycle. It's the same information. It's a tachometer, it's a speedometer, it's your gas gauge, and maybe a couple other things with a gear indicator. That's it. And it just feels like a dick measuring contest with people keep putting bigger and bigger dashes on their motorcycles, and there's just no reason for it. This one's perfectly fine. The only thing I would want maybe is just some bigger font, because as a 45-year-old, the font size is a little small for my eyeballs. As they start to age, I can still see, but I gotta squint, and squinting's not something you want to do on a motorcycle, especially when you're carving up a road like this. So yeah, I mean, electronics, they're fine. They do perfectly fine. Again, the ABS is pretty intrusive, as we've already found out. Again, I haven't done the rear. I mean, I haven't done the front. But as far as the rear ABS, like I said, it engages pretty early, which is, again, perfectly fine. I'd rather engage early than engage late. Oh, this thing would be awesome with an up and down quick shifter. I know they have an up quick shifter. I don't know if they have a down or not. Might have to look into that. So guys, right here, see there's a sign that says church entrance. There used to be this beautiful church that literally sat right here on this bank. And the fact that it's not there anymore is just, it's heartbreaking, is what it is. My gosh. I'm talking about it like it's a person. It's a building. The Christian church for the first 1,000 years, the church was people. The first church wasn't a building. It was the people. Anyway, not a doctrinal. This is just a motorcycle review. This motor, I'm telling you, this motor. Woo! There's that rear ABS kicking in again. Yeah. That this motor is again, it's the star of the show. It really is. Let's get on it. Well, there's 80. Goodness gracious. What a fun motor. It's a good motor in the Tenere 700. It's a great motor in a naked sports bike. Hey, yeah, over, baby. Whoa, look at all the turkeys and chickens and shit. Thank you. What a great motor. And again, this is why you buy this motorcycle. It's because of the CP2. And again, I don't really know if they've really even
done much to this motor since they came out with it. They nailed it on the first attempt. And hell, they even got Aprilia making parallel twins, 270-degree crank parallel twins. That's saying something right there. I think the only manufacturer who really hasn't come on board is Kawasaki. I mean, and they're still putting out that, the 649cc, 180-degree crank that they've been putting in everything, and the Z650 and the Ninja 650 and Versus 650 and all these other motorcycles, other platforms. And it's a good motor, but it doesn't put a smile on your face like this one here does. This one here will just make you cuss. It'll make you slap your grandma if she's still alive, or if she's not, God rest her soul. But man, and it's not the high end power. We just came off of the CB650R, and again, it's got a 649cc inline 4, and it makes 20 more horsepower than this motorcycle does right here. But to ride it at the same level that I'm riding this one here, you'd have to ride it at another 3,000 to 5,000 RPM higher. It really doesn't start making that power until 7, 8, 9,000 RPM, and it makes it all up high like what a traditional 4-cylinder does. And if that's how you want to ride, that's fine. But I don't know. There's something to me about just having an engine that's just got that download torque that you can just brrr, and you can just power out of a turn like we're doing with this one here. And man, it just, oh gosh almighty. But yeah, the download just chug of this thing. But it'll scream up high too. I mean, it really will. But this motor came out, and when this bike came out, the top bike in the category, or hell, one of the only bikes in the category, was the SV650, and we'll talk about that in the competition category. And the SV650, I was really big into Moto America when this motor came out, and when this motor got homologization, when they started using it in the Moto America series, the SV650 was the top dog in the category. And like I said, everybody ran an SV650. As soon as this motor came out, the SV650 became irrelevant. And it became irrelevant literally overnight. And this was before the R7. This was just the MT-07 that once Moto America approved it, people were putting clip-ons on it and putting race bodies on it. And it destroyed the SV650. I remember that first year. I mean, literally, like every single race, the top 5-6 bikes were an MT-07, and then basically overnight, the SV650 became irrelevant. Now, Aprilia followed that up with their 660 parallel twin, and really, put a hurting on everybody is what they did. And it's a great motor, but again, like I said, I don't know if they were developing that motor before Yamaha came out with this motor here, but they had some. I guarantee you, they used this motor as a benchmark for how to build a 270-degree crank parallel twin. And if they did use this as a benchmark, then kudos to them, because they absolutely nailed it with their motor. But this was the first one. This is the OG of these parallel twins, of these 270-degree crank parallel twins. And again, like I said, Yamaha, it was a clean sheet design, and they absolutely killed it.
All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up our ride and review of the 2026 Yamaha MT-07. Again, Yamaha came out with this bike years ago. It was a great motor, and the package around it just kind of sucked, if you want to know the truth. But now, over the years, they've refined it. Now, for 2026, they've revised the suspension. They've given it ride-by-wire, which is given it the ability to have the rider modes and traction control and everything else. And I think they've made an absolutely killer motorcycle. And again, if this is something that you're interested in, Team Charlotte Motorsports, they gave me the keys, they let me ride this bike for a week, they let me do whatever I wanted to with this motorcycle. And if this is something that you're interested in, you gotta go see those guys. Yamaha, Suzuki, Kawasaki, who am I missing? Suzuki, Kawasaki, Yamaha, all the Honda, All those brands, they have them on Freedom Drive in Charlotte, North Carolina. And if your thing's more European, Aprilia, Moto Guzzi, and Vespa, and Piaggio next door, T's Eurocycle, they've got literally everything that you can think of. And that's just in the new bikes. Used bikes, damn, they got everything. And if you want side-by-sides and four-wheelers and all that stuff, they got those there too. If you want personal watercraft, they got those there too. If you kind of see the trend there. So basically, I like to say anything on 2 wheels, 4 wheels, and no wheels, you're going to find it on Freedom Drive in Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte Douglas International Airport is 5 minutes up the road. They'll come pick you up. You can fly and ride. I recommend that with the motorcycles. Don't do that with a personal watercraft. It's kind of hard to do. But go see those guys. All the information's down below and it's going across the screen right here. So again, if you see anything that you like, comment, and subscribe. Again, subscriptions are the absolute ultimate compliment. It means what I'm doing is resonating with you guys as the viewers. So thank you guys for watching. God bless, roll tide, and remember, tomorrow needs you. Thanks, guys. Little those little turn signals right there. She goes up, but can she go down? Hey yo!
But this right here, man, I tell you what, man.
Is this still the best mid-size naked? Those little turn signals right there. Is this still the best knit? Show you. Oh, look where you rode today. I know I rode today because I was on the motorcycle. Is this? Those little turn signals right there.